Hi, and welcome to Logosol Portable Sawmills headquarters in Härnösand, Sweden. We are finally back after a summer break with our live streams. My name is Karin Edom. I'm sales director here in Härnösand.
And my name is Pelle. I'm a sales manager at Logosol.
And my name is Anton Byström, and I also work with export sales.
So today we will have a great afternoon, I think. 2 hours sawing. So we will go through the whole product assortment and saw a lot.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to, Anton?
Oh, for me, it's definitely the chainsaw mills. Super excited to be using them and demonstrating them and show you guys how it works.
And Pelle?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I look forward to run both the band sawmills and the CH3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the planer molder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. We will have the chat open both on YouTube and Facebook. So we are super happy if you like to comment or send us questions or so, and we will try to answer to them during the live stream.
And of course, if you're not following us on YouTube already, we can recommend you to do so, because we are always posting a lot of great material there where you can see our machines in action.
And also give a tip to a friend if they don't follow us already. We are really close to 100,000 followers now.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, I think.
And if you're really keen on the Logosol products, I could also recommend you to click the bell to get notification when we do new updates.
And where can I find the information about prices and our dealers and so on?
Well, all of our prices and dealers you can find on our website, www.logosol.com, where you can find all our products, all our prices, and also dealer information. So you can find the dealer that's the closest to you.
So we can look into the program for today, if we can show it. So first we will have a demo of the chainsaw mills, F2 and F2 Plus, and we are really proud to show this new accessory for the chainsaws, petrol chainsaws, and we have the Timberjig and Big Mill wide slabber. And from that we will go fast over to the CH3 multi-head planer.
Yeah.
And next after that we have a demo of the band sawmills, B751, the Pro, and B1001 with hydraulics. And last but not the least, we will have a round tour through our headquarters here in Härnösand. And cool also some inspirational movies, I think.
Yeah.
Short clips. So we really hope you enjoyed this 2-hour broadcast with us.
A lot of milling inspiration, so it's going to be it's a really good schedule, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started.
Let's get started.
Yeah.
Hi and welcome back. Okay, we have no time to waste, so now we're gonna kickstart this live stream by demonstrating our chainsaw mills. And behind us here we have our F2 chainsaw mill, and actually the chainsaw mills was the first product that we started to make, and we have since then improved it until its current form. So we started with this in 1989, so we have a lot of experience in terms of chainsaw milling. And here then we have our F2 model together with a chainsaw, a MS661, and a manual distance feeding. And the manual distance feeding is actually a completely new accessory that we have for it. And I think we can actually start off by taking a little look at this, because it's such a fine piece of equipment, this accessory. So this is a manual distance feeding for chainsaw, which means that you can stand at the end side of the sawmill and control the chainsaw from here. It's simply mounted to a chain is simply mounted to the sled, which is then mounted to a wheel and a lever, which gives me the opportunity to control the chainsaw. And then we have a small gas wire and a control unit, so I can control the throttle of the chainsaw.
Exactly.
It's absolutely amazing, and we're gonna show you guys later how smooth it is to work with, but I'm a huge fan of this because I really like the simplicity of the design, which also gives which is also great in terms of efficiency. So then we have the star of the show, the F2 sawmill. In its standard configuration, it's 4 meter long, which gives you the opportunity to saw up to 3.7 meters. But then you can also, of course, extend it to any dimension you want. You have here a scale. You can maybe show it. A scale here. And a lever, which gives me the opportunity to control the log up and down with fixed steps, so it's really easy to know that you get the correct measurements and also the same result every time. On the scale I can see how much is remaining of the log. So here we have about 9 inches left. So it's very easy to set up the first cut and then also to get the same result as you're going.
How large of a log can you use on this sawmill?
On this F2 you can saw logs up to 50 centimeters in diameter. The F2 Plus, which we're going to go through later, can do a little bit larger logs, but we're going to talk about that just in a minute. It's adaptable to many different kinds of saws. We have here a chainsaw, as I just mentioned, but you can also have an electrical saw and also different types of feeding units. So you can also have a feeding unit with a lever when you walk with the saw. So there's many different ways to adapt the sawmill for the way in which you want to be working. So
and on the standard, if you buy a standard F2, you get a saw carriage that you push forward.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
So you can really adapt the sawmill to the way you want to be working, which I think is just a great thing with it. It's it's modular, it's flexible, you can adapt it in different ways.
And as you said, you get a very direct feel with the chain.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stand in the line of the sawdust either.
No. I mean, it's so comfortable to be here, because I think the downsides of using a chainsaw is that you're standing in the fumes, you have all the vibration and also the sawdust, but with this one you can simply remove yourself from that. So it's very comfortable to be working with this manual distance feeding. The whole structure here is made out of anodized aluminum, so it's rust free, and it's also very lightweight. This one only weighs about 55 kilos, so it's easy to move around. I mean, if you're one person or two persons, it's really easy to lift, and you can even put it on top of your car. So it's super flexible and super portable in that way.
And we can show these how you secure the log on the.
Yeah, so here we have the log clamps. Show them, and you can move them up and down in order to adjust them to your cut. So when you're on that last board, you can move them down and be able to saw a little bit lower. And these just slide onto here, onto the log bed. You secure it, and then secure it again. And then the log is fastened. And it also has it also pushes on here with quite a broad surface, so it does not put much damage to the wood. So it's a really, really easy and smart way to secure the log to the system. Yeah. So here we have the an arm for extra stability, and we recommend this if you're using a guide bar which is longer than 50 centimeters, because then the guide bar can tend to move a little bit. Because of course, when you're doing broader cuts, if there's tension in the lumber, the guide bar becomes more sensitive up here than down here. So if you're using guide bars that are longer than 50 centimeters and doing wide cuts, we strongly recommend that you're using this in order to have extra support. Now it's a fantastic system, and the best thing about it is, in terms of its design, it's rather simple actually, but still gives a great result, which you will see soon in terms of the end product. So I think we're going to start off with a cut now, and you can judge for yourself how it goes.
So here you can see the really nice surface that you're getting with these ripping chains.
Yeah. So the main difference between the chains and the ripping chain is that we have a 10-degree cutting angle instead of 30 degrees, which you would use for felling. And that gives a less aggressive cut, and then also a nicer end surface. And as we see, it's a piece of art. Absolutely beautiful. And we can also, just for the sake of it, we can also have a quick view of the log here. I really wish you could feel how smooth the end surface is. It's really nice. So it's very easy to be working with the sawmill. You simply heighten the log using these fixed steps, and every step then represents a 1/4 of an inch. And the great thing is that every step also makes a very distinctive clicking sound. So if I, for instance, then I want to do a 1-inch board, I simply increase it 4 steps for the board, and then 1 extra to compensate for the cut.
Show.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So then, you can, if you listen carefully, you might be hearing the clicks. So now we're ready to do our next cut, and it's going to be a 1-inch board. So I think we'll do it.
It's always nice to cut.
It's addictive to cut.
Yeah.
So much fun. So there we have it. It's that easy to make a 1-inch board. It's the end result is great. It's really easy to set the sawmill in order to get the correct dimensions. So it's super easy to work with, and you can, as you can see, it works quite fast. And it also, the end result is just amazing. So it's a fantastic piece of equipment to be working with.
Guys, we have some questions and comments.
Of
Can we
course.
take that now?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so happy to see that we have so many that watches this live stream. It's really, really fun. And we have some really good comments as well. Highs and hellos, of course. Tick Daniel comments, nice to see you again, guys. It's nice to hear that you are watching us again, Daniel. A question here, is there a reason you shut off the saw after every cut? Isn't it better for cooling to let it run?
Yeah, if you're working and you're quick to set up, you can have the saw running, but for safety reason, if you're turning the log or do something like that, you switch on the brake if you have the saw running. Yeah.
But it's hard to have the saw running on a live stream.
Yeah, we're also
it's
trying to do a little bit of talking
in
between.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
But that was a good question.
Yeah. Next question. Is there a progress on the electric chainsaw mill for US use? This is an ongoing project, but we don't have any time frame or anything to inform about, but it's still a project for us. A comment, love my Logosol, fun cutting here in southern Wisconsin, US.
Happy to hear.
Thanks for a great product. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was Pete writing this. I need information for the store in Guatemala. So if you like to find out more about Logosol and our products, go into logosol.com or send an email to us on info@logosol.com, and we try to help you out. Okay, great. Here is one more comment, a really good one. Looking to buy one next year.
Fantastic to hear.
Great.
Fantastic.
It's an absolutely amazing piece of equipment, so we're sure you will be very happy with it.
Okay, it's time for the plus version.
Yes, we're gonna go next thing. So now we're moving on to the next version of the F2. So this one, as we said, could handle logs up to 50 centimeters in diameter, but now we're going over to the sturdier version. So, here we have the F2 Plus, the sturdier version of the F2. And the main difference between this one and the standard F2 is that this one can handle logs up to 70 centimeters in diameter. So larger logs. The whole construction is also a little bit sturdier with a mid piece here giving extra stability. And we also, of course, have longer log beds in order to handle the larger logs. This one can also handle logs that are a little bit heavier. So this one can handle logs that weigh up to 1,200 kilos, 1.2 tons, while the standard F2 can handle logs up to a ton. Here we have an electrical motor, so an ES8. But of course you can also use a standard chainsaw on this one, and the same goes for the F2. You can use both the electrical motor and the chainsaw. We have also equipped this one with a guide bar steering to give extra stability to the guide bar. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're using guide bars that are longer than 50 centimeters or 20 inches, we recommend that you use this because it's gonna give a nicer end result. Another fantastic feature of the F2 Plus is that you can deconnect the guide rail from the log lifts. So you can basically make the whole sawmill into 3 large pieces. Not this one will be 5, because on this one we have a 1 meter extension. And this really helps in terms of transport and also in terms of storage. So you can put it into like 3 or 4 large pieces and then put it quickly back together again. This construction is a little bit heavier. It weighs 65 kilos. And I mean, it's not much for the capacity that you get. You can still lift it easily if you're two persons. And it's also made out of anodized aluminum. The principles of heightening the log are the same. We still have the scale, which shows how much is remaining of the log. And we have the same fixed steps as I talked about earlier. So every step on the scale here, you hear this distinctive click sound, represents 1/4 of an inch. So the principles of the sawmill is the same. The main difference is that this one is adapted to handle logs that are a little bit larger in dimension. On this one we have also equipped this one with a manual distance feeding, which in my opinion is a fantastic system. I mean, you get so much comfort from standing on the end side of the sawmill. You get away from all the sawdust, and at the same time you don't really have to lose the sensation of milling, because as you're using the lever you can really feel well how the saw is working through the material. And I think that's for me at least, that's a really important part of milling, that you can really sense how the saw is working through the material. It really gives that extra to making the boards.
Anton, I noticed these bars look the same as on the chainsaw. Can you use the same bar on the electric one as on the petrol 661 there chainsaw?
Of course you can. It's the same bar. So on this electrical chainsaw or electrical saw, we're using a standard chainsaw blade. So it's the same bar and it's the same chain as you're using on the chainsaw.
Okay.
And it's a bar with a 1.3 millimeter width inside there. And then you also have the same type of ripping chain, so a chain with a 10-degree cutting angle in order to give that nice end surface, so a less aggressive chain that you would use in normal felling.
If you would start with let's say a 661, and that you later on want to switch to an electric ES8, for example,
then there's no problem.
You can use the same
You
cutting
can use
equipment.
the same bar and the same chain.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's really easy to switch between. And I mean, it can depend, depending on which kind of work you would do. I mean, of course, you're a little less portable using an electrical saw, because you need access to electricity. So you can easily take this away, put on the chainsaw, and go out in the woods where you don't have electricity and start milling right there. So it's really handy in that sense. And the sled for the chainsaw is always included with the sawmill. So that's also a great feature. So you're always able to switch to chainsaw.
Yeah.
And then with this one, of course, you can also extend it to any length. Actually, the world's longest board, I don't know if this is the current record, but it was a few years ago, was actually made on one of these chainsaw mills. So you can extend it to any length, but the width, you have a maximum of 70 centimeters. And now, of course, I understand that you're very curious to see how it works, so I think we're going to do another cut.
Fantastic.
Just going to see here. I'm just going to increase the log a little bit. So I'm using the lever here. I'm doing 2 steps. And as you see, I'm increasing every log lift individually. And this also gives you a lot of freedom in terms of milling, because you can cut in an angle if you want to. You can do straight cuts. You are very free to use the sawmill the way you want to use it for your project. So it's a system that gives you a lot of freedom in terms of working, because you can transport it easily. You can do many different types of, you can cut in different ways with it. So it's modular in its construction and also in the use, I'd say. And yeah, so it's a fantastic piece of equipment. Just gonna check that I'm not hitting the log clamps. Okay, let's go. So there we have it. And you saw how smooth it works to the material. And I see the end surface here is absolutely great.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice.
It doesn't get better. Oh, we also have some nice color here. Almost a bluish color.
Is this the biggest one, or do we have a smaller version available as well?
Yeah, this is the biggest one. This is the ES8, so an 8 kilowatt motor. And we also have a smaller version, the ES5, which is a 4.6 kilowatt motor. And they both work on 60 amp with a 3-phase connection. So this is a stronger one, and we also have a smaller
400
version.
volts.
Yes, 16 amp. Yeah.
400 volt.
Yeah, of course, on
Yeah.
400 volt as well.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect. Let's do another cut, just so,
We'll
so
do
we,
that.
just so we get a nice
do
board
that,
here.
Anton.
And five clicks for a 1-inch board. Oh, that's great. Absolutely lovely. So, that's the F2 and the F2 Plus.
We received some.
It's time for comments and questions.
Perfect.
Again.
Yeah.
This is so fun. It's so many questions.
Oh, great.
Okay, this is a question from Connecticut, US. I have a white oak log at 168 centimeters in diameter to figure out how to saw. But we have a great machine for that, I think. We will show it later.
Yeah, we have a great solution for that. And we're gonna, in just a minute, we're gonna show that product. So if you just wait a minute, we're gonna get to it.
Yeah. Great. How can I get such an incredible machine in Kenya? The best tip is to send us an email on info@logosol.com, and we will help you out with a quote and shipping and everything.
Yeah, so
we export to the whole globe every year, so we are really skilled in exporting. It's no problem for us. Yes. Is there anything planned for the dust collection at the chainsaws and electric saws on the F2 Plus? Nothing that we have in the short future, I
No.
think. Nothing I heard about, at least.
No, but what we've done on the electric one, that we could have a close-up photo that we made it at an angle to make the majority of the sawdust go down against the ground instead of going straight forward.
Comment, so glad to catch the show live. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And then I will watch the great size saw later on. The oak was 300 years old. Okay, and the next question is, I had a F2 Plus chainsaw, but mine goes down not that easy. Do you have any tip on how to lower the log lifters?
What you can do is, where you have the slot in the vertical beam, we can show it on the. Might be a bit easier to show it here. Well, I can move this and show it. So down here you have a plastic slider that moves inside this one, and it's actually good to put a little bit of Teflon spray in here to make it easier to slide up and down. And it could also be, if you move the camera down a little bit towards this housing here, and it's attached here with 4 bolts, and if you tighten them really hard, you're actually pushing the plastic guides here together, which will make it heavier to both lift and lower the log bed. So I would recommend to check these 4 bolts and maybe just loosen. They should still be attached, but maybe loosen them a little bit to make it easier. You'll notice it if you loosen them slightly. You'll see that it's going to move up and down more easily. So that, I think, would be the 2 advices that I would give.
Great. Do we have any more questions?
Yes, I have.
Oh, wonderful.
Is there stand behind hookup available for the F2 Plus that you showed on the F2? I suppose it meant the feeding unit for the chainsaw.
I didn't hear the first part of the question.
Yeah. Is there stand behind hookup available for the F2 Plus as well as for the F2? And yes,
Yeah.
it is. It doesn't matter if it's the F2 or F2 Plus.
No.
It fits both.
We can see that all the accessories for the chainsaw mills are perfectly compatible with both the chainsaw mills.
Yeah. And it's available for the US market as well.
Yeah.
But it's brand new, so it's up on the websites perhaps last week or this week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all for now.
All for now. So I think we're gonna sum it up a little bit. So we have the F2 and the F2 Plus. The main difference between the two is that with the F2 you can handle logs up to 50 centimeters, and with the F2 Plus you can handle logs up to 70 centimeters in diameter. You can have electric saw or normal chainsaw with both the chainsaw mills. We have 2 electrical saws, the ES5 and the ES8. The ES5 has a 4.6 kilowatt motor, while the ES8 has an 8 kilowatt motor. We have equipped both of these with guide bar steering, which we recommend that if you're using guide bar that is longer than 20 inches. And of course we also have 2 different feeding systems. So we have a standard one with a lever where you walk with the sawing unit, and we also have the manual distance feeding where you can stand on the end side of the sawmill and control the sawing unit from there. With the chainsaw, of course, and of course also the electrical saw. With the chainsaw, of course, you can also push the chainsaw forth if you would like to. But I can say that it's much more comfortable using one of the feeding units. They are both very lightweight. The F2 is about 50 kilos and the F2 Plus is about 65 kilos, so you can transport them easily. And you can also disconnect the rail from the log lifts with the F2 Plus in order to make transportation and storage of the sawmill even easier. So, now we're going to move on to the next type of chainsaw mills. We have here
Pelle?
perhaps the smallest chainsaw mill in the world. And as you can see, it's called the Timberjig. And it's a sawmill that we have mounted to our chainsaw. So this is actually a complete sawmill in itself. Talking about a portable sawmill.
Yeah.
You can lift it with one arm even.
Yeah.
And with this one, we have a rail system in order to make the sawing and the milling even easier. And then we have these sliding blocks, which help the jig to slide forward as you're milling. And of course, you can also use the Timberjig without the guide rail system. But then for the first cut, you would need something in order to give the Timberjig support. A lot of people use like a wooden guide rail for the first cut. And then after that, you can simply let the surface of the log slide on this piece of metal here, which you can also lower in order to get the correct dimension. So you can set this one to 1 inch and then make sure that you're going to get a 1 inch board. But it's a little bit more comfortable when you're using the guide rail system. And you can also, I think this is a great feature, if you want to make a block, you can loosen here. And you can move the whole rail. Like, oh, sorry, so it wasn't fastened properly. 90 degrees. There we go. So you can move the whole rail 90 degrees in order to make a nice block. Yeah, let's move it back. This one wasn't properly done here. So as you can see, it's very important that you fasten the supports to the rail in a good way. So if you want to make a block to begin with, it's really easy just to move the guide bar. And you see that they have small holes here, which you lock these components in, so you make sure that it's always 90 degrees. And you can attach this to any chainsaw as long as you have 2 extractable chainsaw nuts. And then you take away the chainsaw nuts and you replace them with these dimension nuts, and then you use the chainsaw nuts again to fasten the Timberjig to your chainsaw. But we would recommend that you have a chainsaw that it has at least 4.5 horsepower, because of course it puts a little bit more stress on the chainsaw when you're cutting horizontally, because the cutting time itself is longer.
Yes.
And then of course we're also using, the same as always, a ripping chain to get another nicer end result. Would you say that this is the smallest chainsaw in the world, Pelle?
Yeah, I'd say it's harder to get it smaller than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and it's actually very handy with this jig if you have a little bit oversized log that that's positioned in the forest and it's hard to get it out. Then you can bring this little jig and a wooden rail, for example, and cut it into quarters and then bring them with you. And if you have another sawmill that you can process everything on, it's much easier.
Because with this one you can handle logs that are up to 60 centimeters in diameter.
Yeah.
Which is quite large actually. And I'd say also bringing this guide rail system out to the woods is also really easy, because it's also made out of anodized aluminum, so it weighs hardly anything.
No, and it's the same guide rails as you have on the F2 and F2 Plus.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
So a really simple piece of equipment, and
Very portable.
Super portable. It's actually amazing how well it works in terms of its size.
Yeah.
Talking about size, let's go over
To the big boy.
to the big boy. Here we have the Logosol wide slabber. And this is an absolutely fantastic system for milling oversized logs.
I think this is probably one of your favorite
Yeah,
machines,
I know,
isn't
I
it?
get so excited when I'm going to talk about this, so I don't know where to start. No, but for cutting this type of log, I mean, this is a fantastic system because it gives you so much stability. And when you're doing these big slabs, it's really important that you get a nice end result because they are so valuable by themselves.
And what bars are available
We have of course, we have different bars for different sizes of logs, and we have a 56-inch bar, a 66-inch bar, and an 84-inch bar. So with the largest 84-inch bars, you can handle logs up to 180 in diameter. So
and I think that answers the question that we received previously.
So yeah, we had a question about an oak a little bit earlier, and this system would be absolutely perfect for cutting that type of wood. And on this one, we're using the MS 881, which is one of Stihl's largest saws, and you need something quite potent when you're handling this type of material. We also have a special chain, and I think this is quite interesting. So it's called a hyper skip chain. It's also a 10-degree cutting angle, but as you can see, we have a little bit more we have a lot of distance actually between the teeth. And this is to optimize the work of every tooth. And we have noticed that when you're doing wider cuts like this, it's actually 3 times as fast when you're using this type of chain. Because if you have too many teeth on the chain while doing these type of wide cuts, many of the teeth just cause friction, which make the cut slower. So it's quite innovative, actually, I would say.
And it's easy to sharpen as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot faster.
Yeah.
But the main purpose of this whole system is to give stability to your cut. And we have the chainsaw here, which is connected via these rails to an oil pump. And the guide bar is also fastened here in order to give even more stability. And we have 2 oil pump systems, so one in the chainsaw and one extra here. Because when you're having a guide bar this size, one oil pump wouldn't do, then you would only get oil on one side, which of course you do not want. And then we have simply fastened the rail here to the end side of the log with a small support under here, but the support is mainly to move the rail, and I can explain this a little bit later. And it's connected the same way on the other side, with one support on this end side, which is fastened. And then the guide rails are simply fastened to these supports. So as the saw moves through the log, it will slide on these guide rails. So you're bound to have a straight cut. The blade cannot go up and down like this. Of course, if it's not sharp, it can, but if the chain is sharp, it will slide smoothly on the guide rails, and you will have a beautiful cut and a beautiful slab.
Yes.
So there's not, since the system itself is so simple, there's not too much that can go wrong. And then I use the string and the lever in order to work the saw through the lumber. And that's also a great thing, because since it's connected on the other side of the chainsaw, I can control both ends of the saw. Because what happens if you do not control that end is that the saw wants to move in this direction, but then I can use the lever to balance it in order to make the saw go straight through the lumber. So you don't have to move like this through the log, but you can simply move straight to the log and get a fantastic result. But then, how do you do the next cut? Is it fastened? It's only fastened with screws, so it's no problem to release it. Do we have a small... We're gonna get a little bit more material in order to showcase this. Perfect. So I would use to lower it, I would use a reference board, and it could be any wooden board in order to make a reference for the size of the cut that I want to make. Then I simply release the support under here. I put the reference board here. Then I take the support and put it under, straight. I take it away. I release the screws, and I simply let this bar fall down to the support, and then I fasten it again. So it's really quick and really easy to do the next cut. And when you do the first cut, we usually measure from the core to see that we get the same distance on both sides. Then I would use something like a spirit level in order to make sure that the bar is straight. Because of course, when you're working with such precious material, it's very important that you get a straight and a nice cut. So I would say this is the perfect system for handling logs this size. It gives a great stability, it's quick and easy to use with and to work with, and you can get through a log like this quite fast, I would say.
Yeah, definitely, and you get quite a lot of value out of these types of logs as well. So it's a great system to if you're looking to produce tabletops or have customers that want to produce tabletops.
Yeah, with the right clients, it's quite easy to regain your investment as well.
Yeah, very fast. Yeah.
And as I said earlier, we have 3 different versions of this one. We have one with a 56 inch guide bar, one with a 66, and one with an 84 inch guide bar. So we have different variations of this sawmill in order to handle different sizes of logs. And the difference between them is only, of course, the guide bar and the middle piece here.
Yeah, and you can say the jig takes about 35 centimeters from the bar length.
Yeah. So with a
or 10 inches.
It's like 84 inch bar, you would be able to do a log that it's about 180.
Oh, sorry, 14 inches.
Yeah. Even though the guide bar itself is about 2.14.
Yeah.
If you're doing it in metrics.
Yeah.
And of course, another thing, we also have water cooling in order to make sure that the chain stays a little bit cooler. Because when you're doing a cut like this, it's going to be a lot of friction, a lot of heat, and then you want to make sure that the chain is both lubricated and also have extra cooling from the water supply. Now, so I'm as I said, as Pelle mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of this system because it's such a great system to be handling logs this size, and it's also really fun to be cutting logs this size. It's quite an adventure every time, but you always know that it's going to end well. Okay. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we have.
Yes, let's do some questions.
First, I like to comment about the comments about the white oak logs in the U.S.
Yeah.
I know that our dealer Fox Forestry in the U.S. has these systems in stock, so please contact them for more info and a quote, perhaps. We hope so.
Yeah.
I can see that you comment that this would be a perfect equipment for you. Future slab table and bench tops of white oak.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
don't hesitate.
As we said, this type of system would be actually absolutely perfect to be working with. So.
And here is a question. The wide slabber bar looks to be sagging in the middle. Is that right, or just the camera angles?
No, it's not sagging.
No,
it would be if it sagged. No.
No.
I would say that's the camera or something, because it's.
And we can say when you use, for example, the 84-inch bar, we actually have 2 holders that you can get to prevent, because when the longer the bar you have, the more it can start to weigh by its own weight. So we have 2 kind of attachments that you can use to straighten it.
And the US dealer's name that has this equipment in stock is Fox Forestry. You can find the contact details on logosol.us. Okay, and just a summary of the chainsaw mill part here. Here is a comment from Ladislav, our old friend from Slovakia. Hello everyone, I really like the F2 saw update. The feed chain is great idea. Plus the gas to control the saw is fantastic. Wow, amazing solution. It looks very professional. Great job and 3 thumbs up.
Oh, happy
Thank
to
you.
hear. Thank you. And we can actually say that I'm the first time I worked with the manual distance feeding for chainsaw, I was absolutely amazed by how smoothly it runs. It just feels so smooth when you're working with it. It's great.
Very easy to handle. Okay, and more questions here. How does the water supply hook up to the chainsaw for the F2 Plus?
No, there is no water supply for the F2 Plus. Then we're simply using oil for lubrication.
Do you have any better solution for the steel 462 chainsaw for the hookup for the unit? The bolts are secured to the clutch plate.
Yeah, on the sprocket cover, yeah. So on the 462 you would need to, I think we have a sprocket cover that you can replace the original sprocket cover that comes on the 661 and the 391. I'm not sure if the 462 has the same sprocket covers. What you have to do then is you have to drill out the captive guide bar nuts, and we have a special extension nut, so you use 2 of them, and they go a bit into the sprocket cover, so you get a thread on the bolts, on the guide bar bolts. So I think it's similar if you use the 500i and the 400 as well.
Yes, great. Are you going to cut with the wide slabber? We have actually, after this comment and question session, we will show you a film from a customer in Stockholm. And they are cutting a lot with the wide slabber. Yes, where can we buy the stylish orange jackets?
Oi, oi, oi.
Thank you. we actually buy these jackets from Revolution Race, is the company name. And then we brand them with the Logosol brand, logos. So Revolution Race, that's the name of the jackets. Yeah, that's all for now. So it's time to head over to Ravenwood in Stockholm.
My name is Daniel and I work for Ravenwood, part of a company from Jackson Tree Care Company in Stockholm, Sweden. Today we have milled a 6x2 meter long elm log. We used a portable Logosol mill with an 881 steel saw. At some point this will be a beautiful big elm table that I'm sure that many of the people in Stockholm is going to use for picnics and whatnot. So it can live on for years and years and years. At Ravenwood we try to take the wood, the trees that are taken out from Stockholm area and make them into furnitures, bird boxes, mom hogs, all good things that we can put back in the areas where the trees once were. Usually when we put stuff back, it's kind of oversized tables and it's a bit different shapes or forms to it. So it's sometimes it's more of an art piece, a functional art piece that we can use as a picnic table. We can also have it as a piece just to look at from the nature. And when the public finds out that this used to be the tree standing up and now gone, and they are back in shape of a furniture, they're very pleased with that, I would say. Behind us we're working on a piece with oak, big slabs of oak that we put together as a tree. A request from the Historical Museum in Stockholm, and it's part of a Viking exhibition that's going to take place on Strandvägen in Stockholm, central Stockholm. And it's going to be Yggdrasil, the tree of life, so to speak. Going to be there for a long time, I hope, on Strandvägen, and after that I hope the Historical Museum will put it somewhere else. With Ravenwood and the sustainability in what we do, I think that's a really important thing for us, for everyone now, to be thinking about nature and to be thinking about reusing stuff and to be able to work with putting things back. It's really nice. It's a good way to spend your days.
Hello. So now we're going to have a little look at the CA3 planer molder. It's a 3-sided planer molder, and it's a machine that you can actually produce a lot of different things. You can produce panelings, skirting boards, crownings, flooring, lots of different things. And we're going to go through how we set up this machine and how it works. It's actually very fast. It's very quick to adjust this machine when you go from pre-planing in the first pass to the finished pass in the second run. And the infeed is on this side here, and you first have a fixed side spindle and then an adjustable side spindle where you decide the finished width. And then the last one is a top horizontal block that's 300 millimeters wide. The maximum width you can put into this machine is 205 millimeters. And the maximum height, if you're using all 3 cutter blocks, is 60 millimeters. And if you're only using the top block, you can put in a material that's up to 70 millimeters in thickness. Today we're going to do a panel with a chamfer on both sides, a small chamfer on both sides, a TNG with a double chamfer. And in the first pass we're gonna do the pre-planing, so we're gonna run the back side of the board. So what I have to do then is to start by just measuring the width of the board, and it's about 130 mil, and we remove these, and the thickness, yeah, so about 24 mil thick. And I thought we'll finish off at 20 millimeters, so we'll run it down to 22 in the first pass, and then in the second pass we'll run it down to 20. So I'll start by adjusting the height, and you can show on this side just the height adjustment here. So here you have you can call it maybe the rough scale. And on the top here, if you want to do any fine tuning, you do that here. So if I, for example, would run this through now and I wanted something 22 and it turned out to be 22 and a half, I zero this, adjust it 0.5 millimeter, and then I know it's perfect. So it's very easy to set the thickness on this, very easy to tune the thickness. And in the first pass now, I'm only gonna use the top block. So I'm not gonna use the side spindles at all, but what I can do is I can keep them in the machine. I just turn in the molding knives like this, And then I use a little guide just to make sure that the front fence here is in line with the second fence in the machine. And that's really important so that the material doesn't get stuck when it passes through. There. So now I know these two are in line. Take this out. And then I know that the board here was 130. So I'll just measure here. So I have about 10 mil clearance. So it doesn't jam. And then I'm ready to go to do the first pass. And here in the, you can show that in the lid. You have a breaker here, so if the material here is too uneven, it's gonna push the plate in the front here and the safety switch will pop out and the machine will stop. So that's actually really good to have, just to avoid that you get an overload in the machine. And in the front panel here, we can show we have two fixed speeds. Well, one sticker here with a turtle and one with a rabbit. And the turtle means 3 meters a minute and the rabbit means 6 meters a minute. And here we have the feed motor, the motors for the side spindles and the motor for the top block. So what I'll do now, I'll start the feed here with a fast feed and only the top block. You can see I forgot to put on the chip extractor and then you get a bit of wood chips in here. But now in the second pass, here is when the adjustments are important. Because now we're gonna set the finished width and make sure that we get a full TNG on both sides.
Maybe we can just take a look at the surface.
Yeah, we can show the surface. A close-up maybe in the camera.
So really smooth, really nice. You can almost see some reflection in there. It's funny. It's a great end result.
Yeah.
And I think it's just amazing that the design of the machine itself is so small and neat, but you can still have this type of capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also that you have all the important components right there as you're working.
So now we can show here. Now in the first adjustment I'll do here is I'll have to back in the fence to make sure that the whole profile is made. And then I take about 2 mil extra just to make sure that I get a clean new surface on the board, and then I'll just secure it. I know that the first fence is adjusted, and then on this adjustable block here is where I decide the finished width. So I have to measure from the part of the knife that has the least protrusion. And now I'm going to adjust this down to 125 mil there. So now the finished width is decided. I've made sure that this profile will be made, and then the last adjustment that I'll do now is on this side is the thickness. So I'll just raise it 2 millimeters. There, 2 millimeters, and then I'm done. Then we close the lid again. And then I'm starting all the motors now. You can see now, here's the TNG. You can see a little bit left here. The board was a bit cupped, so I could have actually taken off a little bit more on the top here. And a feature that's really good in this machine, and it's how you adjust the height on the side spindles here. So they rotate against the material, so they rotate differently, and if you want to loosen them, you loosen them in the same direction as they're cutting. Put this there. There, now I have it. So here I have a 10 millimeter shim here, and the reason for that is if I lower this block without any shims here, the center of this knife will be in line with the table, and this is a 40 millimeter molding knife. So if I finish off a 20 mil thick board and I want the TNG in the middle, I just have to put a 10 millimeter shim on each side, and that way I know that the TNG will be in the same position, so they'll match. So that makes it actually very easy to adjust, as long as you know, especially on the TNG knives, they tend to be made in the center of the molding knife. So that makes it very quick to adjust the height when we have a solution like this. So I think this is a very good feature. Even though it doesn't seem to be a very important part, it makes it so much faster to set up. And as you can see, you work with the fence from the pre-planing, it's in line with the second fence, and the knives are not sticking out. And in the second pass, you back in the fence so the molding knife can cut, and you decide the finished width here and the finished thickness by do a second adjustment here. I hope you have some queries as well.
And both the spindles are in the same height, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was what I was talking about, just so it makes it a lot faster to set up. Yeah.
So let's say something about our knives. We have thousands of knives that fits to the CH3, and you can find them on the website. Different types of knives for different types of profiles, of course. But we are also really skilled in special knives. So you can send in material to us like this. You can see we have boxes with many different types of profiles, and we can design knives for your special type of molding.
And that's especially if you do like a renovation and want to keep the same style in an old house, for example, they might be really hard to come by.
Yeah, this is a really nice feature you can do and create your own or old versions
Yes.
of moldings.
Oh, and then we also have the fan, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could
The ship fans.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
show these. So here we have, once you've set up the machine, there. So once you've been running the machine and done a test board, so you know everything is okay, you can mount these little fan blades. Got there. And this one prevents that you get sawdust between the feed rollers and the board, because then you can get pressure marks in the board, and especially if you're doing deep moldings where you remove a lot of material, these are really good to use. So they basically blow off the sawdust from the board as it's passing through the machine. And these can you can get these as an accessory, and they're very simple to use and very handy to use, especially when you're working with soft materials, because then you tend to get more pressure marks if you don't if you get a lot of sawdust on top of the board.
So could you say that when it comes to airflow, we are big fans?
Exactly.
Okay, are you ready for some questions? How is the maintenance on the CH3?
Yeah, so what you have is mainly the rubber roller is the roller that will wear the most, and we can show that actually in the machine here. It's the yellow outfeed roller in the machine. If you're doing panels like we did now, it doesn't wear much, but if you're running a pointy profile, so the roller will only feed at a very small surface area, it'll wear quicker. But that's a maintenance part that sooner or later needs to be replaced. Same goes with drive belts. Obviously the cutting equipment like molding knives, and they have to be sharpened. So I'd say, and bearings of course, but that's, I'd say it's very normal wear parts in this machine. And it's a very simple machine, so it's not overly complicated to change them yourselves either. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the maintenance parts for the CH3.
Yeah. And actually 2 following up questions from the chainsaw mill part. Is there a difference between use of a spur sprocket or a sprocket with the rim?
Well, no, I'd say you're going to use if you have a spur sprocket, you can actually use both. But I'd say if you're using a machine a lot, it's easier if you get a rim sprocket kit that's 3/8. It's in the long run cheaper to just buy new ring sprockets instead of a complete spur sprocket.
Okay, do you have a part number for the clutch plate? And we don't have that in mind now, I think, but send an email to info@logosol.com and we can reply to that.
Yeah, for the chainsaw, yeah.
Okay, we are heading over to a customer that Logosol paid a visit this summer, I think. His name is Peter Bräck in Gnesta, south of Sweden.
Fördelen är ju att du har 2 kuttrar vid sidan och en överkutter som gör att du kan köra allting i ett svep. Det är sällan man behöver hyvla på 4 sidor. Och behöver man det får man ju vända på brädan. Det är inte svårare än så. Det blir ganska snabbt en förnuftig arbetsbörda och en vettig lönsamhet på det där. Jag har en Logosol CH3 hyvel och den har jag kört en hel del råspont och vanlig planhyvling på. Så många meter så att jag har slutat räkna. Det mesta hyvlade materialet har gått till egna utbyggnader av hus, hundhus, ett slungrum till min biodling och till utbyggnader av små sommartorp helt enkelt. Någon virkespinne har jag väl lyckats sälja också. Det är alltid roligt att förädla stockarna till någonting som du ser ett bestående värde utav. Det tycker jag är vansinnigt roligt. Så först så såg jag virket, jag torkar virket och så hyvlar jag virket och så använder jag det i olika snickeriprojekt. Ja, sommarens projekt är väl färdigt utbyggnad av ett sommartorp. Det måste bli klart nu. Och sedan har vi ett pumphus som måste byggas för en ny pumpgrop då, för dricksvatten. Och sen blir det lite sådana här små projekt som en vedbod till exempel. Då. Det här är ju ett provisorium med att ha hyveln här nere i en container. Tanken är att den ska in i min kombinerade snickeriverkstad och slungrum till våra bin. Då. Sen har hustrun hyrt in sig lite grann på en del av drejarverkstaden där uppe. Då. Men under sommaren så är tanken att den ska flyttas upp för familjens alla gemensamma projekt. Då. Golvet är ju granbarkborre som jag har plockat ut och hyvlat med just nämnda hyvel. Och jag har gjort skulle gissa en förtjänst bara på 25 000 på det då, om man nu bortser från bränslekostnader för att få ut stockarna ur skogen då. Själva solpaneler så att jag driver de här i dagtid gratis energimässigt då. Jag säger det, både min såg och min CO3 här har väl betalt sig i alla fall dubbelt upp skulle jag nog vilja påstå. Det här hade väl aldrig blivit gjort utan de här verktygen, den här sågen och den här hyveln som jag har. Det kan vi väl med lätthet konstatera. Det är ju väldigt både entusiasmerande och härligt att kunna ta reda på naturens resurser på det sättet. Jag brukar säga så här till några utav mina närmsta grannar att tyvärr är det väl så att få ser tjusningen i det, men de har ju egen skog, de brukar komma hit och lasta av en 20-25 stock och sen så brukar de bygga sina egna projekt utav det. Jag har sågat till någon lösdriftshall åt någon och sen så har jag väl sågat en del reglar till någon hönshus och lite sådana saker då. Men ambitionen är väl så småningom att ha det här som en liten biinkomst tillsammans med mina bin då och lite snickeri. Funderar på att börja snickra lite grann rent möbelmässigt också så småningom här. Alltså nu har ju jag gjort en hel del åt mina både barn och svärsöner och så. Så att de är väl lite smittade av den här snickeriandan. Grabben håller på och bygger en bastu i dagsläget. Så jag försöker bästa förmåga försörja honom med lämplig storlek på virke till det där. Och sen har min dotter ett hus som hon håller på och bygger ut i dagsläget då. Så att där kan man väl konstatera att jag hinner inte få stockar ur skogen till alla projekten just nu.
Welcome back again. Hope you enjoyed that film from Peter.
A really nice movie.
Really nice. And it really shows how many possibilities you have with the CH3 and machines from Logosol. You can really use the nature's all gifts, I think.
Yeah. And it's great to see how much value you can put into the lumber.
Yeah.
It's fantastic actually.
Yeah. And the secondary processing, that's where a lot of the value comes. So when you do the moldings or the different types of moldings, you actually add a lot of value to the wood. Yeah.
It really feels that you personalize the trees.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's also the type of value that you have actually taken the tree and done something with it, and you get a really nice end result. Of course, that creates a lot of affection value to the things that you create.
Yeah.
Do you have a dream project for the CH3 that you would like to do?
Dream project.
Flooring would be really nice to do actually.
I can actually only agree with you.
Yeah.
To make your own floor of the house would be amazing.
Okay, we had a following up question on the CH3 here. Do you need to lubricate the CH3?
Yes, you should actually have, that was a good question. You should actually have some lubrication on the machine table to make it, because then the boards will feed through the machine much better. And you can use different types of lubrications for that. The type we have is called Silver Glide, and you can buy that either in a 1 liter bottle or in a 1,000 milliliter can, and then you use a rug just to put it on the table. But that's really good, and it also prevents any rust, for example, prevents rust from getting to the table as well.
Yeah, good. And next we want to show you a film with our founder Bengt-Olof Byström, who started Logosol in 1989. I hope you enjoyed this movie. It's about the company he's grown since '89, and it's still a family company. So I think it's a very nice movie.
När jag kommer igång och sågar, då glömmer jag bort att vi filmar. Jag kommer nästan i en sorts trans när man står där med det här motorljudet och spån som ryker och brädor som kommer fram och så vidare. Det är fascinerande fast man har gjort det så mycket. Så är det är en fantastisk känsla det här att börja med en stockhög som man successivt förvandlar till en stapel med brädor och plankor. Det är mycket ljud och mycket känsla, mycket dofter som hör ihop med det. Och det märker jag när jag är ute när vi är ute och visar våra produkter. Väldigt många kunder som kommer i närheten reagerar på doften. De börjar minnas hur för många människor i Sverige har jobbat med sågning. Bysågar har ju funnits i varenda by. Och då kommer man ihåg hur man har jobbat med det här och stanna gärna kvar och titta ett tag bara för att få lukta på spån. Och det har jag faktiskt stor förståelse för. Det var ju ganska väl. Här fanns det ju motorsågar och en snickeriverkstad och lite verktyg och så att här var ett bra ställe att mixtra och testa grejer och så. Och lite träd fanns ju lätt tillgängligt och så vidare. Så Hörns har ju betytt mycket så att man kunde kombinera då, typ veckoslut och ledighet med att prova någon idé som man hade haft under veckan. Jordbruket var ju nedlagt, vi hade ju inga kor längre och jag hade ju flyttat hemifrån och bodde i Härnösand. Pappa och mamma var ju fortfarande, de levde ju fortfarande men precis när första prototypen blev klar gick ju pappa bort så han fick ju aldrig se den här. Och det är väl något som han hade nog tyckt att det här hade varit jämans roligt alltså. En solosåg, men han hann inte med det. Han fick göra mycket annat roligt. Ja, jag jobbade med ett projekt som gick ut på att utbilda verkstadsägare i Västernorrland i aluminiumanvändning. Och åkte runt med en pensionerad vd från Gränges Aluminium och tipsa företagare om hur de kunde göra effektivare produkter med hjälp av aluminium, i första hand aluminiumprofiler. Så jag fick lära mig en hel del om den tekniken. Och det är väl kanske förklaringen till att det blev aluminium. Det var den enda teknik som jag egentligen var lite duktig på då, jämfört med de flesta, eftersom jag hade fått träning av den här väldigt trevliga pensionerade direktören. Alltså jag började med att försöka sälja den här produkten till återförsäljare. För det var väl det man första hand tänkte på. Men det gick väldigt trögt. Så att, däremot så visade det sig att så fort vi i något sammanhang visade produkten så fick vi sälja sågbänkar. Så vi började väldigt tidigt med att åka runt på marknader. Inte så mycket mässor utan marknader, typ Åsele marknad och Näske marknad och Mora marknad och Falköpings marknad och alla möjliga marknader och visa upp den här produkten då. Och det ledde ju alltid till massor med beställningar. Det rörde sig om mellan 10 och 15 beställningar så fort vi var ute på en sån här sväng. Och sen var det var det ena och det andra det var då en enkel och anspråkslös annons i tidningen Land med en liten remsa längst ner som man kunde skicka in för att få mer information. Och sen var det här med video. Vi spelade in, vi hade enkel utrustning men det var ju klumpig utrustning på den tiden. Det var ju både en bandspelare och en kamera och några andra grejer också. Men det blev ju film av det. Och sen så kopierade vi över det på VHS-band och skickade ut i stora mängder. Vi skickade faktiskt ut över 50 000 VHS-band under, säg från starten då fram till år 2000 ungefär. I början var ju uppgiften i första hand att övertyga kunderna om att det här var någonting som fungerade. Att man kunde såga eget virke, att man verkligen fick fram plank och brädor och att det inte tog all världens tid. Idag har vi mycket nytta av det. Vi kan ju verkligen hävda att det är inte någon uppfinning, ingen nyhet längre utan snacka om beprövad teknik, 25 år och någonstans mellan 25 och 30 000 sådana här utrustningar som är ute på marknaden och används i de allra flesta fall. Att direkt få kontakt med människor som har haft stor glädje av våra produkter, det har blivit viktigt för mig. Och även känslan när vi säljer utomlands till marknader där vi vet att det här är kanske enda chansen att få fram virke. Så har det ju varit i Ryssland exempelvis. Nu är det rätt många år sedan, men jag kommer ihåg det är väl 2003 eller något sånt där. Då kom det en största sortens långtradare från Moskva och vi fyllde den till bristningsgränsen med Logosolprylar av alla möjliga slag, främst sågverk då. Och då var känslan att okej, då den där rullar iväg, vad kommer att hända med de här? Vad kommer spånhögarna att vara någonstans? Det kommer att vara hundratals människor som blir beroende av att de här grejerna fungerar. Det var en fantastisk känsla och den får man någon gång nu och då. Vad man tycker känns bra med det här med solosågen och Logosol, förutom då att man har medverkat till att folk har fått förverkliga sina tankar och idéer. Det är ju själva företaget med all personal och att familjen har haft intressanta arbetsuppgifter och den biten. Kanske viss uppskattning också från, till exempel från samhället. Man blir uppmärksammad i olika sammanhang. Det här sista nu med att nominerad till årets företag, jag kommer inte bli årets företagare, men bara att bli påtänkt i de sammanhangen, det är ju naturligtvis inte, det mår man inte dåligt av på något sätt. Ja, det ska vara lätt att såga, annars kan det kvitta. Lätt att såga, annars kan det kvitta. Man kan bara veva så får man en bräda.
Wow, amazing film.
Yeah.
Really.
I really enjoy to see all the old pictures from before. It's a really history movie.
And you can really sense the value and the feeling that has been put into the machines all throughout this time, all throughout 89 when we first started, and so much has happened since then.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely heartwarming to see. And we still make all our machines, we design all the machines here in Sweden in Härnösand still, and all the bandsaws are also constructed here. So they are Swedish designed, Swedish made.
And we are really proud about that. It's premium machines.
And we also
high quality.
They talked a little bit how the company started, and as I said, it's still a family company, and we are maybe foremost a very, closely knitted company. So we tend to work very much together between the departments and very closely. So we have a lot of connections inside the company, I would say. Mm. And now we're standing here with our B751. And one more thing that I wanted to add is that we also have, I could say that this well-knittedness of the company and the values also is reflected in our warranty system, that buying one of our products is a safe decision, because we have a 2-year guarantee and a 60-day warranty on our sawmills.
Yeah, and we also promise really high level of support.
Of course.
You are always welcome to contact us, and we have a really skilled employees here that are ready to help you if you have any questions.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or need support, you can just email us or give us a ring, and we're here to help. Mm. And now I bet you're wondering which type of machine that we're standing with here. And of course, as you can see, it's a bandsaw mill, and this is our B751. And this is the smallest bandsaw mill that we have, but it's a very, very nice and efficient one.
Absolutely, and it can still handle quite large logs. This one cuts up to about 600 maximum width, so you can still process logs that are up to about 750 millimeters in diameter. So I mean that's quite big logs. Yeah.
And when it comes to length, in its standard configuration, it can handle logs up to 4.8 meters. But then, of course, as with all our sawmills, you can extend them to any dimension. We really like this modularity of the sawmills, that you can just keep on extending them in order to make them to be able to handle the logs that you're working with.
And a lot of the things that we have on this sawmill is actually through a lot of the feedback that we've gotten over the years on functions and features on the mill.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the best things with the sawmills, the band sawmills especially, that they have some sort of simplicity to them, but we have really put a lot of effort to put quality in the details, which really make the feeling of milling so much better.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you mention 5 really great features on this sawmill, what
Just
would
5.
you? Yeah, just 5. That's hard to choose, of course. but try.
Yes.
What would you choose?
Well, I would probably choose, if we open the cover here, can show one thing that's pretty unique as well. The blades here on the band wheels are quite wide, so they work a little bit more similar to a extractor wheel, which helps to clean out the sawdust from the cover as you're using or as you're milling, and that actually saves a lot of hassle with maintenance and open up the cover and clean it, and so it's actually a very good feature on the machine, and this feature is on all 3 band sawmills that we have.
So even though this sawmill has been used a lot, you can see that it's the saw head is still very clean.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I think everyone can agree, cleaning is no fun.
No, exactly.
No.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this is one or 2 things, but I would go with the chains and the heightening system. So as we see, the sawmill here hangs in chains, which makes it so that it doesn't wear down over time. They are really reliable, so the main position of the saw head won't move or wear down. So it's very stable with these chains. And then I'm also a big fan of the heightening systems. We have fixed steps. So every step here represents 1/8 of an inch. So if then for instance, want to do a 1-inch board, I simply move it 1 complete turn and then 1 extra step. So 1 turn is 8 steps and then 1 extra to compensate for the size of the cuts. And we also have scales here, both a millimeter scale and an inch scale. So you can use the inch scale in order to count how much is left of the log that you're using. So you can on forehand see how much you're gonna get out of it in the end. And then we also have this little nice thing, which is a last cut indicator. So it's a magnet that simply follows the indicator as I lower the saw head. So I always know where I were on the last cut. So it's very easy to know where you're working from, and it's such a simple thing, but it's actually super, super handy.
I agree.
It has saved me a few times actually.
Yeah.
So it's great. That was maybe 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, and then I'll switch in with these log clamps. So this is excenter log clamps. So you can lower it down just so. Oh yeah, I think this was put on before the log, but we can loosen this just to show. Yeah. So you have a double excenter. Very simple, doesn't leave many marks on the board, especially when you've cut a square and you want to cut up planks or boards. It doesn't leave a big mark in the side of the beam.
The surface that touches it is quite broad, so you get a lot of pressure on the broad surface, and then it doesn't.
Exactly. It's actually a lot of people that have other sawmills, they've gotten these as well, because they like them so much. So those log clamps, I think, are fantastic.
And now that we're on about listing all the good things, we cannot leave without mentioning the blade steering wheels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have put a lot of effort in our blade steering wheels, because when it comes to it, these are the component that guarantee a straight cut. And these ones are adjustable, so they also put a little pressure down in order to make sure that this surface here is completely straight and stable. So we have put a lot of effort into our the blade support and the blade steering. And can only say that they work absolutely fantastic.
And these have, you can see down here on the back here, you have adjustment screws on all sides, so you can adjust them so they're perfectly in line with the bed.
I think we're going a little bit over 5, but one last thing here that I really like is actually, it's a very simple thing. It's the water tank. So we have a water tank here in metal, and of course the benefit of using this is that it can be outside. Like, it doesn't crack with time, so it can be out in the sun, and you don't have to worrying about your water tank cracking when you have the sawmill outside. So it's a very robust, it's a very stable construction, and it doesn't wear down with time with the water tank and the chains. And as you can see, very robust construction.
What do you think? Should we fire it up?
Yeah,
We can talk
yes.
just a little bit, Pelle. Which
Yeah.
type of motor do we have on this one?
On this one we have a Briggs & Stratton 18 horsepower motor. We also have a 15 horsepower available and a 13 horsepower pull start. But this has an electric start.
Do we have electrical motors?
We do. We have a 4.6 kilowatt version for this model, a 3-phase 400 volt 50 hertz. So if you have it stationary and access to 3-phase, that's perfect. And you can also get an 8 kilowatt 3-phase 400 volt setup on this sawmill as well.
I want to add that all the great features that you mentioned, and many more, of course, they are the same at all versions of the Logosol bandsaw mills.
Yeah.
So what we showed on this B751, the standard version, the same features are on the Pro and the B1001. So it's really high level from the start, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, this feature goes through the whole bandsaw product line.
Yeah. We have such a great question here. We have to take it now. Stephen Parkinson have ordered a B751 bandsaw mill. But he wants to know the overall height when assembled, so he can build his shed before he gets the bandsaw mill. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We wish you very much luck with the bandsaw mill. But we have the opportunity to measure now, perhaps.
Yeah. So we'll get it here, and you can adjust these feet here, down here. So you can also, the measurement now can differ side, but it's just about 2 meters high here, and then you can adjust them about 10 centimeters the feet.
I think when it's completely on the ground, it's about 190, and then in the feet put on some extra height.
Exactly, yeah.
So how much did you say?
Yeah, it's 2 meters now.
2 meters.
Yeah.
2
meters now.
Oh, great. It's time for cutting something?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
say?
fire
I mean,
it up.
I'm always up for a cut.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Can I have the honor?
watch out.
Oh, that's great.
I can brush it off a little bit.
It looked very easy to push the,
Yeah, you can do it
So
with
forward.
one hand even.
yeah.
And I mean, you don't have to put much pressure on it, because you never want to force the saw through the lumber. You want the saw to do the work, not you as a person.
Yeah.
So it should always go light and easy when you're working the saw through the lumber.
Yeah.
And what we all often, at least, hear from what we often hear back from our customer is that it's easy to get started with the bandsaw mills from Logosol.
Yeah.
Yeah, and understand how to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with this fixed measurement system, it's really easy to know what you're doing and
Exactly.
make sure that you're getting the same result all over, and also that of course the result that you want. to
Yeah.
have. That's
Yeah.
very important when you're working with these types of things.
So now, if we wanted to make an additional cut, for example, if we wanted to cut a 1-inch board,
Yeah.
we'd lower it 1 turn and an extra step for the curve.
Yeah. And well, I've increased it a little bit now, so then I would just use the last cut indicator.
Yeah.
And now I know that I am at the exact same place.
Perhaps we could
Oh,
have a
I
close
moved
up
it a little bit.
Yeah.
on the last cut
Oh, yeah.
indicator.
So there. I accidentally moved this one a little bit as I was talking. And then I would just so.
Yeah.
And that's how easy it is to get ready for the next cut.
Yeah. Very fast.
And I think we can, I didn't know if we showed it clearly enough, but just have a look at the surface.
And what type of blades can you use on these sawmills?
And we have 3 types of blades. We have our standard blades, And then we have the HSS blades, which they have a little bit longer longevity.
Yeah.
So say the standard blades you would have to sharpen or change every other hour of active sawing. That's time in the log, so that's quite a few cuts. But with the HSS blades, it's up to every 3 active hours of sawing that you would need to sharpen or change the blade. And these are of course estimations, but it's like a standard estimation.
Yeah.
And then the last one, it's called
Carbide.
carbide, yeah. The carbide blade, and that one can actually last up to 20 hours of active sawing, so quite some time. But those you cannot sharpen. Those are used until they are dull, and you throw them off because they're too hard to sharpen.
Yeah. But they're quite unique in the sense the pitch is not the same all around the blade. So you have a longer space between some of the teeth and a shorter between some of the teeth, which you can see. What you can notice a little bit is that it clears the sawdust a little bit better because of that. Yeah.
We can also mention that we have a toe board on this one. We didn't talk about that.
That's exactly.
So we have a toe board here in order to be able to lift the log, because the logs tend to be have a cone shape. So they're thinner in one end, and then we have this very simple metal lever in order to be able to lift the log up in one end. And this is a system available for the standard B751, but then for the B751 Pro and the B1001, which we're gonna look at in just a minute, we have some more advanced solutions, so a hydraulic tow bar.
Yeah. Perfect.
Let's go. I think we're gonna have a look at the B751 Pro now.
Yeah.
Let's go Pro.
Okay, I can take the opportunity to answer to a question. Meanwhile, they are walking over here to the Pro. We have a question. Do you have any agent in Zambia? If you go into logosol.com, you can find all contact details to our dealers. And if we don't have any dealer on your market, you can always contact us here in Härnösand. We are really used to export to different countries, and we can give you a quote from Sweden. So send us an email, info@logosol.com. Okay,
Yeah.
Pro. It's time for the Pro.
Let's go Pro.
And we also got some feedback from Stephen Parkinson. His shed starts at 2.2 meters, so it's no problem.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there. So let's have a look at the Pro. It's very much the same saw head,
Yep.
but the rail is a big difference.
Yeah, so as we can see, this one has a much more, it's actually a lot larger rail, and a rail that is also a little bit sturdier. And since it's a little bit larger, and it's also adjusted to the attachment of different accessories.
Yes.
So you have a little bit more possibilities with the B751 Pro to put on more accessories in order to widen the possibilities of working with sawmill.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see on the bottom end here, we, for example, have a log house molder mounted. But you can actually run one of those on the 751 as well.
Yeah.
But you can see the trailer kit and the log loading winch.
And also the extra large legs
Yeah,
for the sawmill.
yeah. So, we also here we have, instead of a manual tow board, we can show here we have a hydraulic tow board where you can pump it up instead. and it's suitable when you handle heavy logs when it's too tough to lift them manually. And on the other side here we have an XL log clamp system. So it's a little bit bigger bar. It's the same type of extender, but a longer bar, bigger bar, so you can get this extender in the center of the log. Because the short ones might go underneath, so you can't reach it fully. And on the other side here we have a log rest that comes with this XL log clamp kit, and this one has a steel roller to help you when you're turning the log. So you can use this. This is working really well with the winch. So you can use the winch for turning the logs and loading the logs.
So it really becomes easier when you're using the winch to roll the log over.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you can see the rail here is basically metal tubes that are connected to each other. With you have shafts that go through them and long M12 bolts. So you tighten them together, and you can see you have a recess here, and it's actually on all four sides. So that helps when you assemble the rail. It kind of helps to self-align a little bit. And on this we have a 18 horsepower engine, and you can also get electric versions on this one. Very much the same as on the 751.
Yeah, but the standard electric one, this one is an 8 kilowatt motor.
Yeah.
So a very potent electric motor.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, it's great for doing. You can do all like, different types of wood with it.
Yeah.
So hardwood is no problem, I'd say. And in terms of diameter, this one is the same as the standard B751. So this one can handle logs that are up to 75 centimeters in diameter, and the maximum cut width is about 60. The block.
Yeah.
For making the blocks.
Yeah. So it's very similar to the 751 in terms of the saw head. It's the rail that's the main difference, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of nice things to put on your sawmill. We also have these ramps. You can't really see them right now, but this is a part of the log handling kit. Ramps that you can use to make it easier to get the log up on the sawmill, especially when you have the hook and the winch. You can use that to get the log up to the correct height for the sawmill.
So you place them like this on the rail, and then you load. And but
maybe it's self-explanatory, but we could now just mention it that if we have the winch and the hook on this side, we would of course put the ramps on the other side.
Yeah. And then this is how the winch looks like when you're not using it. When you're going to use it, you lift it up like this, and then you have the hook here, so you can put it around the log and winch it up, or if you want to turn the log, just put it underneath and turn it around.
Yeah, very handy.
Yeah,
especially when you're working with larger logs. I would say that the log handling is one of the most difficult factors.
Yeah.
And this is some accessories that can really help make that easier.
Yeah,
So.
And it's also dangerous handling big logs if it's easy to hurt yourself or injure yourself when you're working with heavy logs.
So save your back.
Exactly. But you're not, especially when you're not as strong as you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we do a cut?
Yeah, we can do that.
1001. Kör katt på 1001. Ja.
It was sticky, this winch.
Maybe we should save the cut for the next model even, because they've already seen the cut with this saw head.
Yeah, that's
basically
true.
the same.
That's true.
So let's go over to the B1001, our largest bandsaw mill. So the B1001 can handle logs up to 1 meter in diameter, so that's some really large logs.
Yes. And you can cut up to 850 millimeters in width,
Yeah,
which is a decent slab.
definitely.
Yeah.
And it's the same there. It's both with available with a petrol motor and an electrical motor. So the petrol motor is a 23 horsepower motor, and the electrical one is a 12 kilowatt motor.
Yeah.
So that's some very potent engines, and it's perfect for if you're gonna do, as I said, large cuts of hardwood or softwood. It runs just perfect, I would say.
Yeah. And also with a lot of hardwoods, they might not grow as straight as the
Yeah.
pine and spruce, or so you might need that extra width to get through them if you want to do like slabbing. Yeah.
And all the features, the good features that we mentioned on the B751 standard, with the wheels and with the chains and the water tank and the blade steering, are of course the same on this one. So
Yeah,
the saw head is very similar. The main difference is just the width of the saw head.
Yeah.
And then this actually has the same rail as the B751 Pro. So all the accessories, the log handling kit, the trailer kit, the ramps as we saw,
Yeah.
the extra large log clamps are of course as well as available for the B1001. But we have one extra accessory for the B1001, and that's our hydraulic kit,
Yeah.
which really makes you feel like a superhero when using it, because it's so easy to handle these large logs.
Yeah. And on the front here you can see we have the log loader. So this one can lift up to 2 tons in weight. So it's
That's impressive.
yeah, it's a heavy duty. I mean, you can see just this part here. You can see it's I think it's probably around 20 millimeters thick, this part.
Yeah.
So it's
And we should just mention that the log loader is an extra accessory, so it's not included in the basic hydraulic package.
yeah.
But with the basic hydraulic package, you have 2 tow bars, you have log supports and log clamps, which are both movable, and also a log turner, which you can see over there, in order to spin the log.
Yeah, if you point them out, I can start the
Yeah.
hydraulics, and then we can run it just
And we
to
can
show.
also mention that there's both a petrol-driven and an electrical-driven version of the hydraulic kit. So we can start with the tow bar.
The tow boards.
Yep, tow board. So one in this end and another in this end. And then we can see the log supports.
Log dogs on the.
I don't know if you can see it on this side, but they're moving up and down.
Yeah. And
Maybe-
then
Okay. And then of course the clamp, which we can also move from side to side and up and down. So this really gives you, and also of course the log turner we can show.
yeah.
Yeah, so this really makes handling the logs so much easier. And now when we're on the other side, maybe Pelle, you can show the log dogs again.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you see, we can move them up and down in order to put them in the correct position for the cut, and really maximize the support that you get from the fastening system.
And I'll just get the log turn so we can show the lifter quick.
Oh, of course. Oh, and the whole hydraulic system is really strong, and it makes it feels super easy to move these enormous logs. Logs that are up to 1 meter in diameter you can move easily. Maybe we can also mention the smart turner
Oh yes.
a little bit. So we have the smart turner here, which is a product that we have that is really great for moving the logs. So as you can see, it has 2 grips, which makes it so that I can take another grip while still being secured. So if I move it, I can readjust it and move from the next one. So it's very easy to turn the logs using this, since you have this extra security of the 2 grips. Great product.
Perfect. Then we'll show the loader.
Yep. Great.
There.
This log was no problem for the log lift.
No, I think no. It's. Oh, it's. I mean, you can see in the components, you know, with the clamps and the loader, and it's. We've used really nice components for this hydraulic kit.
Yeah.
And
Very sturdy.
Yes, yes. And also the log rests they're connected to each other, so they're always going to be in the same height. You don't have to be worried that if one is positioned a certain way, especially this one that you see from the starting position, you know that the bottom one is going to be the same height, which is really good. What do you say, Anton? Should we
I think everyone is longing for
fire it up?
the final cut.
We'll do that.
And I'll give you the honor, Pelle, since I did the last one.
All right, all right.
Pelle, maybe we should move this one a little bit before. Var ska vi lägga den? Where do you want to put it?
We can.
Yeah, we'll just put it over here. Okay, so 1, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, of course.
There.
Get rid of some sawdust.
But here we can see, here we probably have a little bit of could be a little damage on a few teeth on this blade.
Yeah, we didn't change the blade on forehand.
Could be a little damage on the on the blade here. Because we gotten it all the way through.
Yeah, and when it becomes ribbed like this, it's a good sign that it's
Yeah, and you
time
can
to change the blade.
yeah, and you can also get this type of pattern if you're cutting way too slow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think you went through the log in
pretty fast.
quite a decent pace.
Yeah. So I think it's probably some teeth that's gotten damaged in this case. But this is a nice machine. Especially a lot of customers are using hardwoods with this machine just because you have that little bit of extra width.
Yeah.
So then you have the option to cut, more like slabs. And I can show you here, so you can really see the opening that you get when you have it
Of course.
fully.
So if you imagine the log being that large, it's quite a piece.
Yes. Yeah. So now what do you say, Anton? Should we head back to the studio?
I think we're gonna head back to the studio now. I bet we have some questions maybe.
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.
So, as we said from the beginning, this is the first live stream this autumn after a long spring and summer with exhibitions all around the world, in the Logosol world, I would say. But we have plans for more live streams, and we have posted a program for the coming live streams. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube. And you should follow Logosol Portable Sawmills.
Yeah.
And help us. We want to have 100,000 followers pretty soon now, so we can celebrate that. We will do that for sure, I think.
Absolutely.
So tip your friends who would enjoy to look into our films. Do you want to find out more about our products? Go into logosol.com. And you will find contact details to both us here in Sweden and our dealers all around the world. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us, info@logosol.com, or give us a call.
We're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. We are very happy when you contact us. So it's getting dark, or it's actually dark.
It's actually dark.
It's time to end this live stream for this time, and we hope you enjoyed it. And the last part is actually a tour in our premises here in Härnösand. We hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned. We will be back soon.
Yeah, and I hope.
Take care.
Until
Take
next
care.
time.
All the
Bye
best.
bye.
So this is the shipping area where all the goods come in, but also where we ship out all our products. So it's really crowded in here sometimes. Here, for example, are deliveries to England and Germany, and it's also B1001 sawmills waiting for happy customers somewhere in the world, I don't know. We continue. Down here in the basement is the R&D, so it's very secret. Here's the stairs. So we can't go down there, I'm sorry. Okay, this way. We will come back to this room later. This is where they pack all the small goods that we send out. We continue into the second packing room. Well, this is the second packing room. This is where the Farmers F2 Plus and F2 are put down in boxes. This is the workshop with all the parts to the band sawmills are controlled and put together, assembled into band sawmills. You can see here Linus and Niklas working hard. And we also assemble other things here. Here, for example, so this is Ninos Hido assembling drives for 1001 and B751. So how's it going?
Just fine.
Perfect. He's also doing all the smart sets, so he's a clever guy. Now we're going up to the top floor on the workshop, and I'll show you what we're doing there. Here we assemble small items that we sell to dealers and retail. This is a jigsaw, for example, and this is Nobex angle, very smart thing, adjustable angle, and you can also fit it in the pocket like this. This is also for retail. Of course, we also sell it directly on our web shop. And this is the Plano glue press, also packed here at the top floor. Around the corner, here we have Kenneth building, what is he building? Today it's VDU, wood drying units. How's it going, Kenneth?
It's going well.
As always.
As always.
And sometimes we also assemble the electric chainsaws on this table. Okay, we move on. So that was the workshop top floor. We head back to the showroom. This is where small items are packed and sent out all over the world, actually. Ida, what are you doing?
I'm packing a package.
Okay.
Customer in the south of Sweden.
Oh, profile knives?
Yeah.
Yeah, to a happy customer. Okay, we'll move on. Hello.
Hello.
This is Tim.
Hi.
Benita, hello. Hello. Quick through the showroom again. This is a glass corridor that is connecting the assembly and packing area with the office. And from here you can also see the outdoor area where we do the demonstrations and the live streaming. And I think that was the end of the tour. You have seen the whole company. So thank you for watching.